too if we can, okay? So be comfortable. Yeah, you go ahead and then sit down when you're ready.
Welcome. The music playing prior to the service was music that we know Eve really enjoyed listening to. And as you gathered, hopefully, you thought of Eve as you heard this music playing. We gather here today, along with those on live stream, to share our love, understanding, and support with each other as we mourn the loss of a wonderful woman, Eve Lowes. There are no words to describe what you're feeling at this time, and no comfort that can be given away the pain of losing a loved one. Each of our pain is different, so we must allow each other to grieve in our own way. During this time of reflection, don't be afraid to laugh, and don't be afraid to cry. This is a safe place for all of us to grieve and honor Eve's memory. I know that you looked at quite a few poems over the last few days, trying to pick or select which ones you would use here. And I know that one of them really struck Linda. And I'd like to share that for her now. And as you listen to it, center all of your thoughts and prayers on Eve as we prepare to celebrate her life. The poem is entitled, A Letter from Heaven. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not here to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you, and each time that you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. When tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart, for every time you think of me, I'm right there in your heart. Linda really wanted to share that, but even as I read it to her the other day and reread it to her, she was cut by emotion. And she still is, because it is one of those things that, one of those poems that touches our hearts and lets us know that Eve may be gone, but she's forever in our hearts, especially as we share her memories here today. Elsie, who went by Eve, was also lovingly known as Mum, Nana, and our Eve by her sisters Alice and Vera. Her brother-in-law, Tony, currently residing in England, would always call and start with, "Hello, darling," which is what he used especially for her, as they had a special bond between them. Eve passed away peacefully in her sleep on March 18th, 2020, just after 3 a.m. Now, looking back on Eve's life, it started on the second Saturday of May in 1934 in Liverpool, England. She was the oldest of three girls to Elsie and Charles Twig. Eve grew up during World War II, recalling in line for food with those food stamps. A childhood memory that Eve shared with her children would be when she and her sisters were fighting and a broom went window. Even though one of her other sisters was responsible, Eve was the one that got blamed, and she ended up having to hand wash the laundry as a punishment. Eve lost her mom when she was a teenager, and she began living with her aunt. Eve found work at a toy factory, and her job was to paint the crosses on the ambulances. Since they were using lead paint, the company gave everyone milk to help deal with the toxicity, but Eve didn't like the milk. So she generously shared it, her portions, with her coworkers. When she was 18 years old, Eve joined the British military, and she gained the trust of the company commander for her to look after his children. It was in the military that Eve met Roy, a strapping young man who was serving in the infantry. After Eve had served 3 years and Roy had served 5, they both left together, but they continued dating. They were blissfully married in Liverpool on February 23rd, 1957, and their love expanded as they added 3 children to their family. And speaking of 3, I'd like to call one forward to share a tribute with us now. You can bring it all.
Well, here we are, Mom. I know that you always said you didn't want us to fuss over you. That you only wanted a card. But I think you secretly liked when we made a fuss over you. Well, today we are making a fuss over you. Whether we are at home or thinking of you in our hearts because we don't have the technology, or standing before you. We are fussing. Here is your last card, Mom. With all your loved ones' names, to take to your peaceful place where a dad awaits for you. We love you very much. The people here, as well as the people online. Love you always and enjoy Dad.
Thank you, Kim. Without a word to her family, Eve and Roy immigrated to Canada in 1961. They were sponsored by Roy's brothers and moved to the Toronto area for 11 years. Eve enjoyed spending time with family, going to shows, bowling, camping, and spending time with Wasaga Beach. She did not enjoy when their car rode down the hill and into the river. This was not Eve's fault. However, she did not drive. When Roy tried to teach her how to drive, she took out a fence, which was her fault, after putting the car in reverse instead of putting it in drive. And it was then that she vowed never to drive again. Now, I just received an email from cousins out east that I'd like to share. And this is from when both our families were living in Bay Ridges. I remember we spent a lot of time in your parents' home when we were kids. Your mom just seemed to always have an ironing board in the living room, and often we'd find her ironing. Always a big basket of clothes to get through, an English tradition, if you want to call it that. Our mom did the same thing in the living room. But the best part of going to your mom's house was always feeling like we were having a party. Lots of us kids were there and added to your family. It was a party. She always seemed to have jars and jars and jars of candy in the cupboard, knowing your mom would always offer us treats each time we came. We visited a lot of as kids do when we were there, and all the sweets were there to be had. Your mom was always happy and a loving aunt. I was so happy to see and spend time with my auntie after a 30 years absence during the time when my dad came to visit. It was a very heavy, heartfelt, emotional time for my dad and I. To be reunited with family was priceless. And then I visited again on my own, and again, the last time we saw Auntie Eve with my sisters Karen and Carol, who traveled to Manitoba and spent time with your mom. I have a picture in mind of a sunny day when we were all on your boat and swimming and having the best day ever. Miss you, Auntie Eve. And that was from Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. While living in Ontario, Roy had a bad car accident involving a train which landed him in the hospital for quite a while. During this time, even continued to care for her family and hold down the fort. When he finally came home, it took a little while for everything to return to normal, but shortly, Roy started a construction company. However, the market did not support his efforts, so he and Eve moved their family to Surrey, BC for a new beginning. Eve continued caring for her family, and it wasn't until they moved to Medicine Hat in the mid-1970s that Eve found work outside the home, taking on the role of chambermaid at the Park Lane Hotel. When they moved to Calgary in the early 1980s, Eve continued her role as chambermaid, this time at the Point Inn. She then went on to become the chambermaid supervisor. Now Eve took pride in her job. She was loyal, she was hardworking, and she never took any time off. Eve's children, though, time off, she was always working. Eve's children can recall their mom always in high heels. She claimed it was to show off her beautiful legs. But they wondered, maybe it was just to give her some added height. Eve claimed to never worry about her height, though, often saying, good things come in small packages. Eve enjoyed home parties, and the family fondly remembers her in her blue sparkly dress, doing the twist and dancing to Chubby Checker, Elvis, Dean Martin, Tom Jones, and Engelbert Humperdinck. Now, one of those people that remembers her mom dancing around and twisting in that blue sparkly dress, again, is Kim, and let's call her forward to share a tribute to her mom.
Mom, tough old broad, was very proud. Mom was an accident waiting to happen. She had many mishaps. It started when she was getting ready to move to Richmond. She fell down the stairs and broke her shoulder. Needed the ball replaced. Yeah, she did it good. After that, we would see bruises on her legs, arms, face. Mom had a list of mishaps. Broken foot, broken ribs, broke the other shoulder, hand, and then her hip. When you ask her if it hurt, she would always say no, and never, ever complain. I would take Mom to the doctor because she would complain that she didn't feel good. The doctor would come in the room and say, how can I help you? Mom would say, oh, her leg hurt, or whatever was troubling her at the time. Or she'd say nothing. That's just my age, right? We would leave the doctor's office. She'd say, I told you the doctor wouldn't do anything. I was like, well, Mom. Mom was so tough that when she broke her second shoulder, she crawled across the room and pulled herself onto the chair and waited till I came home from work. Crawled right past the phone where she could have called for help. But she just waited. Mom loved watching her grandson Dominic and his team play hockey. She rarely missed a home game in Foremost and Bow Island. She would always ask if we had hockey this weekend. When the kids were little, the whole team would call her Nana. It was like a second family. Mom was very proud. This made it difficult for her to ask for help. She would hint that she needed something done, but she would never ask. She'd say stuff like, I need to go out and cut the grass. I have to shovel before home care comes. Meanwhile, she had her arm in a sling. I need to pull those weeds out. That was my cue that I wasn't getting things done fast enough. Mom loved her TV. She would watch for hours and hours. She would watch the same show so often that when I watched a show with her, she would tell me what was happening before it actually happened. I would say, have you seen this? She would say, no. Like, really? Mom didn't understand technology. When Telus changed their recording for their voicemail, Mom had a hard time. The recording would say, press 1 for this, or press 2 for that. And so on. Mom was upset with this and told me the other girl was better and must be on holidays. I said, Mom, you know that was a recording, right? She said, yes, but hoped the other girl would come back from holidays. When Mom went to Masterpiece to recuperate after she broke her hand and was diagnosed with a brain tumor, I would play crazy eights with her, but she would cheat all the time. So I thought, I'll teach her how to play cheat. That way she's not cheating. Every time I called her out for cheating, she would act innocent and couldn't believe that somebody would actually think she was cheating. She was. And she also enjoyed happy hour at the home. We went to Sunny South Lodge to spend Christmas with Mom. This was the first time Mom had seen me with a wig. And she kept staring at me, so I said, do you like it? She asked how I got my hair to grow back so fast. So I told her, I take good vitamins. Her face was priceless. She was like, I think she was hoping I would share my miracle drug. I felt so bad when I told her that my hair was fake. She then went to the dining hall for dinner, where we took pictures for the group at the next table. And they took a picture of our group. Veronica was the lady that took the picture. And she says, say cheese, everyone. Mom yells out, sex! The whole room roared. When Mom was in bed and couldn't get up anymore, I would sometimes do silly things just to make her smile. One of those things she loved was watching Family Feud. So I found the clip of Family Feud Canada, and the question was, what is Popeye's favorite food? Chicken! Mom would smile. She wasn't very talkative by then. She would smile and laugh. And I looked like a fool. Mom, we seem to be getting tired and weaker by the day. So Dad came down to take you. from this scary world. Miss you more than words can say. Tell Dad how much I miss him and give him a great big hug. Take care of each other till we meet again. Love you always. I wanted to know.
Yep, it's right here. Okay. Thank you, Kim. And this is a poem from Kim. Mom in heaven. Although you sleep in heaven now, you're not that far away. My heart is full of memories, and you're with me every day. You lived your life with me, and with a smile upon your face, a world that was full of happiness is now an empty place. People say that only time will heal a broken heart, but just like me and you, Mom, it has been torn apart. I know you are at peace now, and in a place where you are free. Meet me at the pearly gates when heaven calls for me. Thank you very much, Kim. With your hearts full of Eve's memories, I would like to continue to share more of her story. You talked about Eve enjoying the card games cheat, being one of her most favorites, even though she got called that quite a bit. Playing board games like Stock Ticker. Eve loved mystery novels, and she loved watching her favorite TV shows, such as Family Feud, but also Wicked Tuna, Cops, Coronation Street, Blue Bloods, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, which she was really good at, Impractical Jokers, which often made her laugh, and NCIS LA, but only the episodes with the cute blonde guy. With Eve, she also enjoyed watching Judge Judy and Dr. Phil, while Roy often teased her by saying she was just wasting electricity. And of course, Eve enjoyed watching her Dean Martin and Elvis Presley movies and musicals. Now, it was in Calgary that Roy started playing darts to help with his arthritis, and he coaxed Eve to join as well. She turned out to be a great dart player and amassed numerous trophies through the competitions, usually at the Legion. The children have told me that Roy was actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for scoring a 9-dart 501, which resulted in him having an article written about him on May 31st in the Calgary Herald, 1989, titled Dart Therapy, a Bullseye for a Victim of Arthritis. Eve was immensely proud of him. In 1998, at the age of 64, Eve retired from her role as chambermaid supervisor due to the difficulties with her hands and all of the chemicals that she'd been using and working with over the years. In 2001, the couple moved to Red Cliff, Alberta, where they lived a quiet, peaceful life until Roy's passing in 2010. Eve then began to enjoy going shopping once a week with family and going for a bite afterwards. At first, they would pick a different restaurant every week, which was limited because of her pickiness. Peas and carrots, roast with potatoes, eggs, and chips, fries, were her usual fare of food, along with liver and onions thrown in for good measure. After trying many different restaurants, Eve decided that Truckers was her favorite, and she would always order the liver and onions when she was there, or the fish and chips. After Eve broke her hip, she was confined to the hospital or temporary home, and she developed a fondness for sitting outside every day in the sun, both to get fresh air and, of course, to do some people watching. Once Eve had healed enough for the day trips, her children would take her on walks to the parks, to sit by the river, or to go to Walmart. This was when they discovered D&D Restaurant, which now became Eve's new favorite restaurant. On October 15th, 2019, Eve moved into the sunny Sunny South Lodge in Coaldale, a place where she became very fond of, for the staff, for her room, and for the food. Oh, the food. Apparently, Eve was no longer a picky eater, and while there, she got to enjoy crafts, bingo, and other activities as well. Now, being 39 most of her life is probably one of the reasons that she was so darn tough. As mentioned, when the doctor would ask if she was hurting, she would say no. And this was echoed throughout her life because this is how she dealt with most of her aches and pains. And I'm not going to mention the ones that I have here because I think you went into way more than I have. So she had a lot. As Kim mentioned, Eve was a tough old broad, and she was proud of it. With Eve, nothing ever hurt. She never did complain at all. Eve used to quote the poem that started, "Monday's child is full of face, Tuesday's child is full of grace." And it is no wonder that she lived up to her day in that poem, which says, "Saturday's child works hard for a living." Eve worked hard throughout her life, but always made time to enjoy the finer details of life that life had to offer. While living a simple English life, Eve was the matriarch of a new legacy. Her bloodline continues through her 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. Eve loved and was loved by her family members who were later joined into her family through marriage, an additional 2 children, 5 additional grandchildren, and 3 additional great-grandchildren. Now, Eve will be deeply missed and fondly remembered by all. One of the people that remembered her was Tasha, one of the grandchildren that couldn't be here today. And she's asked me to share her tribute to her Nana because I'm having to stay away. Nana. Nana, when you were born, you were crying, and everyone around you was smiling. Now, you have lived your life to the very end, and you're the one who is smiling while everyone around you is crying. You had enough of happiness to make you sweet, enough trials to make you strong, enough sorrow to keep you human, and enough hope to keep you happy. There are memories in life when you miss someone so much. You just want to pluck them from your dreams and hug them for real. Nana. Let's start with that. When you decided all those years ago that you were far too young to be called Grandma, you chose the name Nana. Did you know then what you were starting? Know what word Nana would mean to many people? To me, a smile on your face and a promise of a friend whenever needed. A woman of class and of kindness. A role model to be adored and love. Unconditional love and always loving. We have been so very blessed to have you have been your grandchildren. To have known you and to have grown up with you in our lives. We will forever keep the memories of holidays with you and our summer vacation with you. None of us will forget the guaranteed tang in the fridge, or the cheesies in the cupboard, or being forbidden from using crude language. Fluff were used far more often than any child should ever have to. And shush you is a response that will always ring in my ears. I'm grateful for my childhood memories of picnicking on the beach with you, or driving around endlessly while Grandpa looked for just the right lake to spend the day fishing. Any place good enough to read a book was good enough to fish, right? And losing to you at stock ticker every single time I remember how much enjoyment you got when I demonstrated a particularly karate move that reminded you of Elvis. And the time you accidentally bleached my pajamas and we were looking all around for the right shade of pink so we could re-dye them, followed by the mess we made and the giggles we had. All of your great-grandchildren are fortunate to have spent time with you, and memories, they have memories of their own. Even though their memories will include that Dalmatian cookie jar, which always played, "Who Let the Dogs Out?" Do that again. Wyatt in particular will always remember the pay scale during every visit to show you how much he'd grown, because you always told him you couldn't believe how big he'd gotten. And those times just before bed when I said no to that treat, but you always found a way to get him one. He always remembers when he was little and you would tease him about a girlfriend and how hard you would laugh when he made his mad face. He still smiles when he remembers how much you'd laugh when his dog would wear his puppy mittens and tried to walk unsuccessfully through the snow. We kept those, not because the dog still wears them, but because they are a memory of you. More recently, he recalls every conversation where you would tell him to stay out of the penalty box during his hockey games. He tried, Nana. He really did. You were so welcoming to everyone you met and made everyone feel part of the family. Danny remembers the first time he met you. He was nervous, meeting the infamous grandparents of his girlfriend. He was asking me about getting a drink, and you stood there, all 4'0" in front of his 6'2" frame, and told him to hit his butt in the kitchen and get his own drink. He was family now, and this was his home too. He wasn't a guest. He loved you right then and there. He fondly recalls all the times you would try to slip him some money for gas, with him refusing and you getting pushy about it. He remembers even more accepting the money, but then hiding it somewhere in the kitchen for you to find after we'd left. He would never answer the phone when you would be calling to chastise him for not taking the money. It was his favorite game with you. You almost ruined it when you started looking around to make sure that he hadn't hit it afterwards. And you definitely won the game when you shoved the money into his pants. I don't recall ever seeing your face so red as it was when you realized what you had just done. But I will forever remember how hard we all laughed that day. We still laugh at that. And he will never forget, nor will any of us, any of your favorite sayings. It keeps him in check as the husband of one of those granddaughters. Whenever Grandpa would aggravate you and you would say, "If I killed him 10 years ago, I'd be out by now." I miss those phone calls we had 4 to 5 times a week. They would make us even closer than we are before. I will forever miss hearing your voice. Thank you for being the woman you were, the mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother you were. You were my inspiration, my friend, my role model, and most of all, my Nana. We won't be counting the years which pass, but counting all the wonderful memories you have left us to enjoy. We will forever love you, always miss you, and never stop thinking of you. With love, Tasha, Wyatt, and Danny. I'd like to thank them for sharing this with us. I'd like to build on this by calling Christina forward to share a few more memories.
Maybe I can't do this after all. together. I wasn't so good. I could only master 2 A's. You did 3 always and sometimes 4. You almost never dropped them. Let's fast forward to when Dominic was born. You were always eager to have him over. You guys always laughed, played, and picked on each other. And I mean really picked on each other. Tom's favorite memory with you is when he would wake up at your house in the morning and you would watch Price is Right. You did it every time. I'm truly thankful for the time we had together at Christmas in Coaldale. We played cards, we laughed, we smiled. Nana, we love you very much. We will miss you, but we'll never forget you or our memories, our laughs, and our sarcasm. Love always from Kent, Christina, Dominic, Abby, and Haley. Say hi to Grandpa from all of us.
Thank you, Christina. Let us wrap up all we've heard about Eve and what we know of her with some visual memories along with some special music that has been put together by the family to honor the life of Elsie Blows.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love Smile, though your heart is aching, smile, even though it's breaking when there are clouds in the sky. You'll get by if you smile through your fear and sorrow. Smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although a tear may be ever so near. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking.
When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow
You'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although a tear may be ever so near. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Just smile. Just smile.
Should I go or should I stay? The band had only one more song to play, and then I saw you at the corner of my eye, a little girl alone and so shy.
Thank you to Jennifer for compiling all that and putting it together for us to share with everybody. Eve Blows will be missed, but she will never truly be gone if she's remembered in your hearts and in your minds. So think of Eve, talk about her, and fondly remember those times that she touched your heart in some way. Stories about Eve will be appreciated, so please share these with each other afterwards or in the days or weeks to come. Whether it is through a phone call, a text, an email, Facebook, or adding comments to the live stream video. Please ensure you share your thoughts and prayers with each other share in this celebration of Eve's life. I now invite you to join together as a family to head to the Red Cliff Cemetery to take Eve to her final resting place. As we leave here, let us say our own goodbyes and prayers for Eve as we listen to a song that speaks to what she meant to us. Wind Beneath My Wings by Bette Midler. Gathered together at the Pattison Chapel to celebrate the life of Eve Blows, and we gather here to lay her to rest. We can take some comfort in knowing that she will be reunited with all the loved ones that have gone before her, and someday we will see her once again. We will miss Eve greatly, and although we leave her mortal remains in this hallowed place, we do not leave behind the memories we have of her. These memories we take with us, and these memories will help us through the grieving process. As we say goodbye to Eve, I would suggest that the best way you can honor her is to think of a quality that you admired most about her. And then, try to model this quality in your own lives. Be the hope and inspiration to others in your own lives as you remember what Eve meant to you. I would like to offer up this poem as our final prayer for Eve as we leave her remains in this hallowed place. It's entitled, The Legacy of Love. A wife, a mother, a Nana too, this is the legacy we have from you. You taught us love and how to fight. You gave us strength. You gave us might. A stronger person would be hard to find, and in your heart you were always kind. You fought for us in one way or another, not just as a wife, not just as a mother. For all of us, you gave your best. Now the time has come for you to rest. So go in peace. You've earned your sleep. Your love in our hearts will eternally keep. I invite you now to say goodbye to Eve in your own way. And when you're ready, return to your vehicles. But ensure that you take the memories of Eve with you to carry with you in your hearts and in your minds. Kim?
You know the old saying, you never gave me flowers? Mom, I didn't give you flowers. I give you a card. A note of encouragement, be at peace. Thereby good shall come unto thee. However many clouds there are, one thing is always true. At times goes by, they disappear to leave a sky of blue. Hoping these warm and caring thoughts will bring happiness to your world, her new world, her eternal world. Mom, we love you and miss you more than words can say. Sad face. You and Dad are free to dance and enjoy eternal life. Love, Ken, Kim, Jennifer, Adam, Christina, Ken, Dominic, Haley, and Avonlea. Love Linda, Randy, Nicole, and Liam. Tasha, Danny, and Wyatt. Love Steve, Jane, Tara, Mark, Nikki, and Hunter. I do this because we can't all be together. Not everybody could sign the card. Mom, we know how important cards were to you and how mad you got if you didn't get one. Well, maybe not mad, upset, and cry, and hurt. I love you. We all do. We will all miss you.